Hi founders, this is Andy Wynn, lead designer on Industries of Titan. I hope you enjoy this new video format we're trying out to better explain the new updates we're bringing to Titan. So let's get into it. First, we'll be taking a look at the new obsidian ruins we've been finding around Titan lately. They're a rare source of resources that can include Tier 2 or Tier 3 minerals and isotopes. We've also uncovered strange anomalies scattered around Titan. Send a worker to research these sites to uncover an abundance of artifacts, which you can use to convert citizens or restore the inert ruins from last month's update. In next month's Tech Tree update, artifacts will act as currency towards unlocking ancient technologies. Have you seen these huge monument ruins before? Well, now you can build the Council's new Monument Center on top of them. Once built, you'll be rewarded with a large amount of influence and an increased influence cap. In a future update that will add new victory conditions, this building will also serve as an optional victory point. Your corporation has also made a technological breakthrough with large ruins that will allow you to extract their secrets. As you might expect, large ruins contain a lot more resources and artifacts than you typically find. And, unlike normal ruins, these ruins always contain resources. The device list in factories and shipyards also has a new appearance. We've added a more detailed look at the available devices, and you can now collapse and expand device categories in order to help your workflow. We've also added a new inert ruin this update. You can activate this new ruin to gain an additional vision area without the need for a command center. You'll also meet a new rebel leader. Soren makes an appearance to push back your attempts at increasing the Council's hold on Titan.
You're a true Council loyalist, aren't you?
These updates will be made available to all players on September 7th, 2021. Be prepared for our next steps in our early access roadmap with our October update, when we'll be releasing a new building and revealing Titan's unique take on the tech tree. Thanks for watching, Founder.
Hello! How's it going? I hope you guys all like the new video format that we've got going on. We want them to be a little more informative, so that you have a better idea of what's going on in each of our patches, because we have a lot of cool things coming up. I'm Maddie, I'm the community manager here at Brace Yourself Games, and I'm joined by Andy, who's
Hello,
our
everyone.
lead designer. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, folks. Who do we got here? We got Gigi on YouTube. Hello, hello. Papa Neat. Hi. Jen Anton. What's up? Yeah, so it's Tuesday. You might have noticed. It's not our usual stream day, which is Monday. That's because yesterday was a holiday for us. But we still wanted to do a stream for y'all and answer any questions and showcase the new update. So yeah. We're just gonna start a new game and get started.
And one of the reasons why we switched the video format to allow us to talk more about the features in detail is because we wanted to actually start teasing a little bit about what's to come into the future as well. Because of the nature of early access, we want to release content as soon as possible. However, some features kind of take longer than others to develop. And so if we're in a situation where we have a feature that's designed for a future milestone, we have a better opportunity to kind of explain its purpose sort of now and how it'll fit into the future.
Yeah. As a heads up as well, there is a lot of stuff going on today, so this is probably going to be a shorter stream than usual. So get any questions you have in. Let's do this. Speed run. Well, since we have some nice obsidian ruins here, you want to chat a little bit about that, Andy?
Yeah, sure. So part of this Titan Tuesday, we have a few new map tile types. So the obsidian ruins are a new ruin type, and the primary appeal of these ruins is that they typically contain higher tier resources. So for those who play the game, or for those who don't play the game, we Titan has like tier 1 resources that can be upgraded into tier 2 and tier 3, and the higher the tier resources, the more valuable it is for the construction of more expensive objects. Oh, and this is also our new UI for building devices in the interior view.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Very cool.
So one of the problems, or one of the challenges of upgrading your resources is you kind of have to have like you know you have to have a factory with like the right processors in it and whatnot. And one of the things that we try to do with Titan is we try to give players multiple ways or multiple avenues to achieve the same goal. And so in this instance, it would be like for people who are kind of bottlenecked in their resource upgrading, they have the option of getting these kind of like rare, more valuable ruins as a way to get these higher tier resources. And the way that'll work is Obsidian ruins have levels 1, 2, and 3, just like normal ruins. And the higher tier the Obsidian ruin, the higher chances it has of dropping the higher tiers of resources, rather than like being based on quantity. Like so you instead of getting like more of a resource, you get just kind of more refined resources, which is better for your economy overall. One thing I do want to mention though, something that you may get used to for this month, but will change in the next month is, if for those who are following our roadmap, our next month is going to be the tech tree. And the purpose of the tech tree is to make it so that players have to players have the choice of different like directions of like how they want to strategize or build their city. And a lot of objects or sort of choices in the game right now they're unlocked via different systems, like either like credits or artifacts or something like that. And when we introduce the tech tree, those sort of unlock systems will be moved towards the tech tree. And so while you have access to your Obsidian ruins for this month, in the future, when we implement the tech tree, that might be a technology that you need to discover first. And so you can imagine if you spawn in a game or where you have a lot of Obsidian ruins, you may want to quickly research the Obsidian ruin technology so that you can get access to those sooner. It looks like another tile type that is also within your view here is the artifact anomaly. And so this one is also sort of foreshadowing the tech tree as well, because the artifact anomaly is sort of it's a single area with an abundance of artifacts, and that is a kind of a random amount between like 10 to 20 artifacts. And the reason we have this is because, just like how for standard resources like minerals and isotopes, we have we have resource patches for those for people who want to specifically harvest those. It's the same sort of it's the same analog for artifacts. And so artifacts are this is sort of a necessity, because when the tech tree comes out, the artifacts are going to play an even greater role than they already do now, as artifacts will be the primary currency for unlocking new technologies.
Yeah, the stuff lined up for the tech tree looks really cool. Not to hype it up too much, but it deserves to be hyped up a lot, I think. I'm very excited for it. Also, look at this. I love it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So that is from...
Go for it.
So that's from last month's Titan Tuesday, where we introduced the concept of inert ruins. And I think right now we have 4 types of inert ruins. And basically, when you're out there and you're surveying your ruins, there's like about 1 in 10 chance that there'll be special inert ruins that have randomly generated properties in them. And so they for right now the possible inert ruin types that you can get are like a filter, air filter, which will purify the contents of the air, which will reduce pollution, but also ethane, energy storage, batteries, and then fuel storage, like fuel tanks. And then we introduced a new one for this Titan Tuesday, which is the vision radius or vision area. And since these are randomly generated properties, every time you find one of these types, it's going to be different, depending on how lucky you are. Some of them even have a chance to, like a rare chance to be like super special, like have 50 up to 50% more of the value that they normally do on average. And as we move forward with the Titan Tuesdays, we'll be adding more types of these. For example, we're working on one for the next milestone right now, which I think will really change how a lot of people kind of like lay out their city. Is really the goal. Is like we want to challenge players every time they play of like how to optimize the layout of the city. And when you're trying to build around something that's kind of already there, like the inert ruin, it really changes your like how you want to plan around it.
Yeah, this is tough. I don't know which one what would you choose, Andy? Between 3 artifacts, these resources, or the energy storage?
Let's see. Yeah, I would probably do the artifacts. It's level 2.
3 is a good number. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the benefits of getting a battery or a fuel tank inert ruin is it comes at full capacity, and they do store a lot. Like they store upwards to, I think they can store 50% more or double of what the building equivalent is. And like having that extra resource count is really valuable.
Okay, that's really neat. I didn't know that they already came fully stored.
A lot of the last 2 months, you'll notice that there's been kind of an emphasis on increasing the variety of when you like start like the very early parts of the game. And a big part of this is like one of the things that we really want to do with Titan is make it so that the game feels more replayable. And one of the most exciting parts of like starting any game that's like, has random generation or procedural generation is kind of like looking at, like that opening hand and thinking about all the choices and strategies that can come from that. And so that's why the first 3 Titan Tuesdays after Steam launch was like, map gen based ones, and then the tech tree, so that when you open the tech tree, you'll have like, you'll start to think about what you want to do with this session. A lot of one of the feedbacks that we're getting though from players that I definitely want to address is a lot of people want more replayability in terms of like the middle and the long term, rather than like the early part of the game. And that's definitely something that we're working on like currently right now. And so the biggest thing about game dev is like bigger features take longer time. Yeah. And so it's been something we've been planning for months now, and I hope that when it does roll out, it satisfies what players are looking for. But it's not the end of it. We're gonna still continue to try to add more to the game to address like all parts of the game.
Yeah. Hi, Sprika. I know this is Industries of Titan, but I did put a little bit of Necrodancer in here. We're Nocturna Core. Oh, wait, I need... It's me, it's Maddie, yeah. Hello. It's been a little while since I've been, like, on camera on stream, that's right.
One of the things that I was planning. I think we'll do in the future is like we have we try to create map locations on Titan that emphasize a specific tile type. So for example, you could play on a map that has very few crevices, which really changes how you optimize like your fuel strategy, or ones that have a bunch, and that kind of like is completely different. And then same with like resource patches and et cetera, et cetera. With the last two updates, we've introduced just like 5 or so different types of tile types. And so at some point in the future, I think it'd be really fun to have a location that emphasizes like having a lot of inert ruin types. So you can just like right now I think it's about like 1 out of 10. But if you can imagine a level where like 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 2 tiles or ruins are an inert ruin, and then also ones that emphasize like obsidian ruins and artifact anomalies, etc.
So what is this game about? Ask Rika. What's the lowdown?
Okay, let me I'm just catching up on the YouTube chat. Okay, yeah. So what is this game about? So Industries of Titan is what we're calling like an industrial cyberpunk city building game. The cyberpunk side is obviously is like clearly influenced because it's kind of like a dystopian technology heavy future. And then the industrial part is sort of that aspect is because like the city building part of the game is about like resource management, resource like processing, city planning, and then like the byproducts of those things like waste and pollution and whatnot. And so one of the things that's kind of like unique about Titan is that there are some buildings that you can enter and then build out from sort of like a micro level, rather than just like on a large scale level. So in this case, Maddie is inside of a level, a connected factory. So there are 2 tiles in the city view that were factory buildings, and they were conjoined to become this singular building. And then once inside of it, can be outfitted with smaller versions of buildings that we call devices to sort of achieve our economic goals. And in this case, as a city builder, we want to increase our population and our employee workforce. So it looks like what most cities start doing is building sort of like a power grid and then powering those devices. So and then in the headquarters you're starting building, you can also go inside as well. So there's also a fuel aspect to it. So power comes from fuel, and fuel is sort of like generated from the atmosphere. So it started off by generating fuel, then converting that fuel into energy, and then powering the devices to sort of allow for the growth of the city. There is a big worker management component of this. It's not direct worker management, so you don't tell specific people what specific jobs they should do, but rather you create jobs in the world, and your workers go about them in sort of a priority list that you can customize, or you can play on the default settings for. So that's the city employee management. So it's this tab here, and each horizontal line there is a category of jobs that's sorted by priority, with the highest priority at the top, and then you can like kind of move them around based off of what jobs you want to be complete first. And in this case, there are 2 active construction jobs.
Got some
The other tabs.
workers now here too, watching ads
Oh yeah,
for
so
us.
yeah, those are the citizens. So the story of Titan is like it's a newer colony in the solar system, and when humanity colonized it, they noticed that they were not the first ones to colonize Titan. There are signs of a previous civilization that lived here, in the form of ruins and other technologies on the surface of Titan. And so part of what these new solar colonists want to do is one, try to uncover the mysteries of Titan and discover what happened to that previous civilization, but two, also take advantage of the rich resources that were left behind by that civilization, and then repurpose them for their own you know their own technological purposes.
Got a couple new
So if
people in chat. Hello, hello.
So if you haven't seen Play Titan before, each of these like ruin buildings has a different quantity of like resources that are in them. And so typically what a player has to do is survey them to kind of see the contents of each of the ruins, and then decide what to do with that ruin, because you can't just extract all the resources from it. You can only take certain types from it. So depending on like what you are desiring sort of economically, you'll choose a different action for it.
This factory is gonna be a people factory. It's not gonna be very pretty, but we're gonna do it. And then this one is gonna be where I have my actual factory where I refine resources.
Alright!
Whoa. Oh! Hey Spooty! Thanks for the raid! Welcome everyone. I did not know that we had that that noise sound. I was like, what was that?
Yeah, and on a sort of probably more obscure note, this update I think has, I don't want to get the estimation wrong, but somewhere between 50 and 100 new audio hookups. So like
yeah.
every sound effect in the game has to be like manually linked to like a gameplay action, and we had one of our programmers go through and address like a backlog of audio effects that had yet to be hooked up. So as you're playing Titan, it may sound more like robust, because like certain actions that never had sounds before, like confirmation noises or ambience and whatever, they might start actually playing audio.
God, it's been a hot minute since I've had to hook one of these up. Alright, let's see. We need Indian minerals.
We do get a lot of comparisons to Tetris.
Yeah. A lot of Tetrising.
Yeah, because the sort of like spatial optimization and the various shapes comes into play a lot, especially when you get into ships. So with this system here, we have like a rectangular palette, but with ships, you'll have depending on the hull that you choose, the place you can the buildable space for you to place devices is going to be different, and that really affects like what you can and can't put in there.
Alright, so I got my L1 to L2 processor going for both minerals and isotopes here.
Regarding this stage of the game, uh, one of our most common feedback that we're going to address is that players want the ability to save their factory configurations and then reload it. We implemented that last month for ships, and then we need to apply it for factories and buildings and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so that'll be coming as well.
Very highly requested.
Yep. And another thing that we get requested during that phase is conveyor belts, sort of like how in a game like Factorio or Satisfactory, you have the ability to kind of like link the input and output of two different things. That is something that like we definitely like acknowledge. It we think right now it's kind of like a lower priority in terms of the other features that are coming, like the big ticket features like victory conditions, um, different AIs that you can play against, and the tech tree that we have in the works. However, we're not ignoring it, and it's just a kind of a matter of time before we can get to that.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
a lot of
there's a lot.
stuff we want to be able to do. It's just a matter of prioritizing it.
Yeah, like we have limited development resources and time, and so we try to address sort of like the biggest ticket things first, unless it's something that we think that will benefit most people. And I think the conveyor belt would be fun as well as other systems
I think so
within
too.
that. But in the grand scheme of things, the factory element of the game is just a portion of the city building and worker management and combat, like compared to all of that. So we kind of have to take our time with each of these systems.
Watch this little guy get converted. A little puke and rally gets up and goes. So we basically are turning our what's happening to that guy? Just some sciencey stuff. He is a citizen, and we want to turn his body into like something that can go nonstop without rest or food, and just do a lot of work for us. So.
Yep. There are two types of people that live in your city. So they enter your city as citizens, and citizens have the need they will work 8 hours a day, but then after that they need to rest and have leisure time. Um, uh, but if you need people to do sort of like the hard tasks on Titan, like the like build construction or mining and combat, they need to be converted into an employee first. And that process that you saw was the conversion process from a citizen to an employee. Once they're an employee, their body has been modified so that they don't need to sleep anymore and they can work forever. As a result of that, though, you saw from the process, it did generate some waste that needs to be cleaned up. Fortunately, the workers themselves, the employees, can clean up the mess. So after they get converted, they'll clean up their own mess and put it into a storage bin. And then from there, the goal is to get rid of it, or also will continue to pile up. And you can get rid of it currently by burning it. But one of our plans in the future is to allow for alternative ways to get rid of waste as well.
Oh, and suddenly it's snowing. Okay, I think that should give me a good amount of employees for a while. Or citizens, I can get some money, and then I can focus on getting stuff started. minerals, which will let me get tier 3 minerals. Also, I need to... What output is it? That. We'll have some fun sneak peeks of the tech tree in a couple weeks as well that we can share.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know, me too.
The tech tree has been something we've been developing for months now. You know, we like conceived it several months ago, and then there's a lot of work goes into kind of planning the architecture for it. Especially and like from a code perspective, and then because it's something we want to continue to grow. It's not going to be like a lot of tech trees where once the tech tree is made, it kind of it kind of just exists as that. It's actually something we want to continue to build upon and add more to over time, and add more types of strategies and decisions to it over time. The way we're kind of viewing it is almost like an additional layer on the game, where you know, right now there are different systems in the game that act as different games within themselves, like combat, city building, and in the future, as we add more to the manufacturing stage, it'll have more to it as well. The tech tree is intended to be like that as well. It's like an additional kind of game system within it. Hey, Jared's in chat. Hey, Jared.
Hey, Jared.
So I think what you'll get with the first implementation of the tech tree is sort of like the starting point, and then we'll add to it over time. The other thing is, like, I think for us, it's like one of the things that makes me really proud of our take on the tech tree is we really try to do our best to make it unique. You know, you know, as creative people at BYG, we really do want to do something as unique as possible, and it makes the creative work a lot more interesting. It also makes it more fun to play, and so this is one of the approaches that I think is very different for a tech tree.
Oh, that was 50. Oh my god. Hold on a second. Cancel. I think I need to look at these first. I want to be able to get one of these. I should just be patient.
Oh, yeah, that's something I forgot.
I'm just not patient.
I forgot. That's something to consider as well. So the council owns all the land that they can see on Titan. There is land that they can't see, but for what they can see, they control it, and they grant it to corporations in exchange for influence, which you have to earn. And so, because they know obsidian ruins are more valuable, they cost a lot more influence. The amount of resource value you get per influence is a lot greater on an obsidian ruin. So if you can afford it, it will boost your economy a lot more. But it takes some either patience or strategy. So you can earn influence by donating to the council, or you can earn influence by building council the council monuments that generate it.
Council, there we go.
Yep. And if you construct those buildings, then the passive rate you generate, your influence generation rate increases. There's also a new building type called a monument research center, and that is because if you explore the map to the deepest ends, you will find that there is a couple special tiles that are actually, they're 2x3, they're really large, and they're like this really bizarre ruined structure, and you can build this building that wraps around it, and when you donate that building to the council, you're granted an increased influence cap, like 100 or so influence immediately, and then also your influence gain rate will increase as well. So it's one of the biggest actions you can take to benefit your influence. And one of the things about influence is, like, right now you kind of only spend it to acquire land, and well, you spend it for do trades, so like acquire ships and stuff like that. But every resource in the future, be it credits, influence, artifacts, etc., will be a path towards a type of victory condition when we implement that system in the future. So I think people are very familiar with strategy games where the victory conditions are military or science or religion, or policy, like government and etc., diplomacy, etc. So we wanted to create a system where there are various types of victory conditions, and so anything that you kind of can do in the game now can be a form of victory in our future victory conditions update. But we don't have a timeline on that yet because it's another one of these larger systems that's going to take some time to develop.
Hi, Green Tea Ice Cream. It's my friend. So I could keep trying to save up influence, or I could get this artifact patch. But this artifact anomaly patch. Ultra rich. I kinda wanna get an obsidian moon. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, continue.
Oh yeah, I was just reading your the contents in those obsidians. So you probably can. That's a level 2.
Yeah.
So the way you do this, if you want to math it out, is the tier 2 mineral, multiply that by 5, and the tier 2 isotope you multiply that by 3, and that's the tier 1 equivalent that you're going to receive. So that'd be 45 and 15 isotopes, 45 minerals and 15 isotopes. And then for this case, this one has tier 3 minerals, so you multiply that by 25, and then tier 3 isotopes you multiply by 9.
It's a lot of math.
Yeah. Well, once you I wonder. Well, so once you harvest it, it'll be added to your UI at the top, and the top UI breaks everything down into what we call like construction units. So when you try to build an object, and it tells you how much that costs, that's just like in the kind of like the raw cost of it.
Let's get this one. Okay.
Device complete.
Well, let's get off on that for now. To be a little bit smarter about how I lay things out this time.
Meanwhile, uh, there's a growing rebel threat in the game,
Yeah.
and so the rebels kind of monitor your actions, and the more prosperous your city is, the more likely they are to attack you. So um, it's the bar on the right, and it'll say like, right now we're at 63%, and when you hit 100, a rebel attack will occur, and then subsequent waves will become more difficult to handle.
I think that's good. What is more shiny, an artifact or a king egg? Hi, JD, dude. Hello, hello. Depends, I guess. I think normally I would say the king egg, especially its head.
I think you're negative on your energy.
Oh no! Need some fuel. Let's see. Let's build some here. Up the floor. Build some fuel. I think I can probably get a little more in here as well. Oh man, I'm so bad at keeping track of my energy and my fuel. But yeah, we are approaching 2 o'clock. We did say it would be a shorter stream this time. So we are probably going to stop in about 15 minutes. I'm not sure if there's anything else that you wanted to talk about, Andy.
Well, in terms of the new patch, the only thing that I think we haven't displayed yet is the council monument. But to
Yeah.
get to that, you would have to get lucky and get a vision tower, or
Yeah.
or build the command center out.
Yeah, I think our best bet is probably going to be to show the codex. So we can do that.
Oh, all right.
We can exit a little bit early from this save, and then we can show off the codex a little bit and some of those updates.
Okay. Oh, and then also, you will be attacked. There's a 50-50 chance that you'll be attacked by a new character. So every time you play, the game will draw from the pool of rebel leaders to be sort of your rival or your opponent for the session. And in the past, it was always Bahar Kuroba, who. But we have a second rebel leader now named Soren, and in the idea is that rebels aren't sort of like this singular organization. They're not really like all necessarily working together, but they're unified in a singular objective, and so it's very much like an enemy of an enemy is my friend type thing. And so you will see new faces, or you will see over time. You'll see new faces, and they'll say new things to you as well. So hopefully that builds out more of the world.
Yeah. Oh no, I just got all my energy back and I'm gonna ruin it all by building this.
Yeah, we're all. I mean, like, and on that that note of new characters as well. One of the things that we are actively working on is rival corporations for you to compete against. And so when that happens, you'll have also new characters to interface with.
Hypersapien says, I really enjoy the game. I spent all last weekend binging it. Nice! I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it. Yeah, this new patch that we put out today is more about like gathering artifacts and other ways to spend them and gaining influence with the council, and it's all set up to prepare for basically next patch, which will be our tech tree, which we're all really excited about. I have never encountered this before. A ruin that has nothing in it.
Oh, what are the chances of that? So it's
Never encountered that before.
this is a level 1.
Yeah.
That's a 1 out of. It's a whatever 1 out of 100 time divided by 3 is. So it's 1 out of 300.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a So the chances of that is like 1 out of 300.
Go gambling.
Yeah, I mean I've seen it as well. But like you play the game a ton, it's bound to happen.
Yeah. Let's build some more energy.
So when we introduce the factory layouts, one of the things that's going to happen at first is you need to be able to afford the whole floor if you want to construct the layout. And so in the early stages of the game, this is kind of impossible. Because like, players are mostly play the way you are right now, which is like you spend the resources as you get it because resources are low. And to afford a whole factory would be like hundreds of minerals. So it's possible that when you do the factory layouts, people will start doing it more towards like the middle or late game. Oh, Kyleri asked an interesting question. So the reason why I didn't do 1 divided by 1 out of 100 to the 3rd power is because each is an individual event and you multiply by the odds of an independent event occurring.
Someone's math checking you.
Yeah, so it's like the artifact. Okay, so you can math check me on this one, Kyler. So the artifact is 1 out of 3 chances of having 0, and the minerals and the isotopes each have a 10% chance of having 0. So yeah, I know how to calculate the stats if it was all for like a singular roll, but they're they're like 3, or I think they're 3 different rolls. Okay. Yeah, so I think the way I'm right is because they're 3 different rolls. But now I don't know. Now I'm not. Okay. I don't want to be wrong, but
you got Andy doubting himself. Look what you did. Yeah, you start saying math stuff to me and I'll just like nod my head. I'm like, yeah, that sounds right.
I think one of the things that I find to be really interesting about Titan, that I think it makes it different from other city building games, is there's a heavy like RPG influence in terms of how the game like populates itself. Whereas it's not necessarily like RPG as in like there's loot and gear and you can level up, not necessarily in those terms, but the way like ruins have contents is, you know, not too dissimilar from how a chest would drop stuff. And then as our future designs start coming into place, I think you'll start to see more of that influence too, of like it'll start to feel more like something more akin to like a RPG that you're familiar with. But obviously, it's still a city builder.
Thought you were saying that each event was 1 out of 100, not the chance of no materials times chance of no artifacts. Okay.
Yeah, I think I know what she's saying. That makes sense.
Alright, we got a lot of fuel now. Not the most efficient factory ever, but you know.
Yeah, what I'm hoping that people will do eventually is they'll start sharing their layouts and like, okay, I've worked it all out and this is the best configuration.
Oh, we had someone on Reddit share like a really nice ship layout earlier. I think it was today or yesterday, and I was like, whoa.
My one advice is like, that's like awesome and it's encouraged. I wouldn't get too attached to it, only because not because it's gonna change, but because we have plans for future systems, which will add more variation into what optimal is. Because like right now, people are able to define optimal because the tools they can work with are static. But if you add variation into it, like then with each playthrough, if each playthrough is different, then the way you approach each playthrough is going to have a different version of optimal.
I like getting into this part of the game where like you have your processors set up and things are finally starting to speed up a little bit and you can get to some of the buildings.
Awesome.
Yeah. And of course, we're gonna end our stream soon, so... Oh, wait a second, I wanted to get that artifact patch. Oh well. Whenever I'm choosing my factory layout, I'm reminded of the hot dogs and buns problem where they don't come in equal quantities. Yep. You guys make it really tricky to try and find the optimal layout. That's part of the fun. I think we'll have a lot of other cool surprises down the line too, factory designs.
Yep. And there are some people who they've mathed it out and they've said like, okay, if I fill every tile of a building with a battery, it stores more energy than a battery building, and they kind of want to go that route. That won't always be the case because the goal is to make it so that devices and factories have different like slightly different benefits. So for example, it is by design that you can fit more citizens in a factory than in a residential building. However, residential buildings provide a better quality of life for your citizens, so they resist pollution at a higher rate, and in the future, it'll make them happier when we add the happiness mechanic. And so if your specific goal is to maximize the number of people in a certain tile, then like yes, you go that route and you can use your factory layouts if you want. But if you want to go for a different strategy, make them happier, then you'd need to go buildings. And the goal is to have it so that every device ideally has that type of trade-off. But then even if they didn't, there is always the base trade-off of like one building is more kind of optimal for isotope usage, isotope consumption, and the other building is more optimized for mineral consumption. So based on your current economy, you may have to make a decision on what to do and what not to do.
And you will have to take into consideration like what your citizens want in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be another layer to contend with.
Yep.
No more just shoving them into the factories like sardines.
Yep. And the way we are building our victory condition system to work is it may change how you want to do those, because say one of your victory conditions is like an architect type, then it may require you to build buildings in order to achieve that victory, whereas another one may be like a factory construction worker type, then you will have to build more factories in order to achieve that goal.
I am going to save. And let's...
Yeah, we have to add the codex. It's one of the things that I've been planning to do, is add the codex to the the pause menu as well.
Uh-oh. No Firefox later. Oh no, what is going on?
Well, what's going on?
Ah! There we go. Here, Monument Center. Yeah. I guess, Kalaria, you came a little bit after we were talking about different victory conditions, but that's gonna be on the horizon. So it's not just wiping out rebels anymore.
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely one of the most requested things since the beginning. We finally kind of got the scope of it down, because there's sort of like many ways we could have gone with it, and the approach that we're doing with it is the same approach that we're trying to do with everything, which is we want to increase the replayability of it. So it's a slightly different take than the standard victory conditions. It's not going to be it's not going to be like, you know, economic, military, diplomacy, etc. It's actually going to be something different from that. But what the goal is that every time you play Titan, you will have a different way of thinking about how to win that game to increase the replayability.
Yeah.
So I think if I had to predict this update is like about 3 or 4 months out, but once again, things could change.
Yeah. I really enjoy it when games force me to play different ways, because I know I am very prone to just like sticking with something I'm comfortable with. But that's why I liked Hades with like it would select a weapon, a different weapon each time that would give you more darkness or something, and so I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try out a different weapon each time. So.
Yep, that was awesome.
Yeah, really good. Thanks for joining us, Hyper Sapien. We'll hopefully see you next time. Glad to hear that you guys are enjoying the game again. But yeah, so do you want to quickly talk about the Monument Center?
Yeah, so if you look at like the gray, like the bluish gray aspect of it, so this is a 6-tile map tile, and
so like
it'll have like
kind of
the same size as the shipyard, and it'll have those like 3 bluish gray tiles on, or sorry, like ruins on it. If you see that, once you claim it, you will be given the option to construct a unique research center directly on top of it, and that's the only way to build that one building. So if you can and do build that building, what you're doing is you're donating that building to the council so they can research the ruins, and since that achieves the council's goals, they will grant you an increased influence cap, as well as additional influence, and then you'll regenerate influence at a higher rate. So it's one of the best things you can do if you wanted to kind of like play the influence method, which when we add the new victory conditions will be really important.
Yeah, it's also really helpful in general for getting those obsidian ruins and stuff.
Oh yeah, because they're super expensive.
Yeah.
And the artifact anomalies are also really expensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's all from us today. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another stream. The next Titan Tuesday will be October 5th, and that will be our tech tree update. So please keep an eye out, and we'll have a lot more information to share soon. But yeah, we're gonna sign off here. But hope you guys have a really good day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Hi founders, this is Andy Wynn, lead designer on Industries of Titan. I hope you enjoy this new video format we're trying out to better explain the new updates we're bringing to Titan. So let's get into it. First, we'll be taking a look at the new obsidian ruins we've been finding around Titan lately. They're a rare source of resources that can include tier 2 or tier 3 minerals and isotopes. We've also uncovered strange anomalies scattered around Titan. Send a worker to research these sites to uncover an abundance of artifacts, which you can use to convert citizens or restore the inert ruins from last month's update. In next month's tech tree update, artifacts will act as currency towards unlocking ancient technologies. Have you seen these huge monument ruins before? Well, now you can build the council's new monument center on top of them. Once built, you'll be rewarded with a large amount of influence and an increased influence cap. In a future update that will add new victory conditions, this building will also serve as an optional victory point. Your corporation has also made a technological breakthrough with large ruins that will allow you to extract their secrets. As you might expect, large ruins contain a lot more resources and artifacts than you typically find. And, unlike normal ruins, these ruins always contain resources. The device list in factories and shipyards also has a new appearance. We've added a more detailed look at the available devices, and you can now collapse and expand device categories in order to help your workflow. We've also added a new inert ruin this update. You can activate this new ruin to gain an additional vision area without the need for a command center. You'll also meet a new rebel leader. Soren makes an appearance to push back your attempts at increasing the council's hold on Titan.
You're a true council loyalist, aren't you?
These updates will be made available to all players on September 7th, 2021. Be prepared for our next steps in our early access roadmap with our October update, when we'll be releasing a new building and revealing Titan's unique take on the tech tree. Thanks for watching, Founder.